Good morning. My name's Chad Hendren. I'm a field solutions architect at Pure Storage. I came here today to talk to you about ways that Pure Storage is helping our customers innovate for AI in their environments. One of the questions I get asked very frequently, and it happened even a few times today, is why Pure Storage for AI? Who are some of your reference customers and why is that even important for you? And my answer to that is always, we're right in the middle of AI in many of the largest implementations in the world. As you can see, one of our reference customers right in the middle is Meta, utilizing our underlying infrastructure for one of the largest AI clusters in the world. Pure Storage helps you deliver results on your AI workloads. Obviously, the whole point is to be able to drive results more quickly, more simply, and have an environment that will change with you and grow as you need it to grow. Able to deliver significant results, for example, 300x improvement with a genomic workload. I have a customer here in town that I'm working with on a genomic data set that save them significant amount of time by utilizing our technology under the covers to be able to ingest the data, replicate it to a cloud adjacent data center, and be able to use the cloud compute without having to move their data into the cloud and back, saving them massive amounts of time and delivering significant performance increase through that underlying infrastructure. Other ways that we can deliver is literally just helping you utilize and see the benefit of your investment in GPUs. The whole point is to keep those GPUs busy and make sure that they're not starved for the data that they need to be able to process your workloads. There. So I always enjoy coming to sessions like this and getting out in front of customers and talking to different audiences to hear the ways that they're bringing AI into their environment, what they're doing within their industry, and what they find interesting and a way to differentiate themselves in the industry through the use of AI. I talk to a lot of companies. It's very common to hear generative AI, everything from just assistance with generating any sorts of collateral, documentation, write me a one-paragraph summary of our product or our benefit to this, or things like people writing code, having an AI assistant to help them write that code. Predictive analytics, we see that a bit, and nevertheless, we see it is changing the way people are doing business, bringing about new innovations, and it's driving innovations on the technology involved in AI, whether that's frameworks and AI tools that are constantly evolving and changing, bringing about new functionality, also driving innovations at the hardware level. Obviously, we all hear about GPUs. We talk about those and how they're designing and building massive interconnects to get the data into the GPUs better. It's driving innovation at the storage tier, one of the things that Pure Storage does. We innovate our own storage technology instead of using SSDs that most of our competitors do. We're able to develop our own platform and our own our own flash modules that allow us to drive density, remove a lot of the overhead, and deliver this at a power envelope that's up to 80% less than what our competitors are doing. To give you an idea, this module right here, we're currently shipping with 150 terabytes on this form factor with announcement of 300 coming out next year. So being able to drive the amount of data that you need, the performance into a small package that works very low power is extremely beneficial, because the more power we can save at the storage tier, obviously you can devote that to your GPUs and getting more power out of that. So it's driving innovation across all levels of the stack. There's no doubt, again, we are seeing the changes here, moving from standard applications more to AI-enabled companies. Pure Storage utilizes AI in many ways to make our products and an experience better for our customers, whether that is AI, looking at analytics on your platform and being able to help you predict what your storage needs will be as you grow, as you add additional applications, helping you move your applications within your environment to the appropriate underlying storage infrastructure, and even moving forward to things like natural language processing to allow you to easily and effectively deploy new workloads. Think about saying, hey, I need 50 terabytes for Oracle production, and you've already designed it, and it knows to go put certain amount of storage on this type of array. It knows to configure that in your disaster recovery site, and can even build your lower environments for you, save you massive amounts of effort. So as we're moving forward with this, we obviously see many, many challenges coming in. If we're doing things within AI, such as training your models, we know that that is very storage intensive, storage and IO intensive. And you need storage that can keep up with the other part that's extremely important is metadata, right? We know that a lot of the pipeline activities can be and are, excuse me, very metadata intensive, and that particular metadata challenges or operations can add a lot of time to your system. And I'll show you in more detail shortly how we're addressing that and some of the tools that we're bringing in to help with that. Obviously, historically, we've grown within our data pipelines to have a lot of different siloed applications, siloed data, and as our data sets are growing, that's becoming more and more challenging of how do we manage these multiple silos, whether that's applications with direct attached storage here for doing that platform, then having to move that data to the next siloed platform to do the next stage of your data pipeline. That obviously adds lots of time, lots of inefficiencies, and we help eliminate that. And then, not the least of which is obviously cost. We see challenges not just around floor space, but more importantly around energy. Right now, obviously, energy budgets are very important, and we're somewhat fortunate here in the Southeast that it's not as much of a problem. But obviously, having the energy required to grow to these larger data sets, when you start thinking petabyte scale, doing your training models and things like that, power is obviously extremely important. And then, we'd already mentioned this is ever evolving, right? So you never know, or we don't necessarily know what will come tomorrow, next month, next year. So as we deploy an infrastructure, it's important that you have one underneath that not only can support your needs now, but obviously well into the future without having to re-architect and have to rip and replace anything you've already put in there. So, interested to know how many of you have seen this. Stop by and let me know if this is anything that you've seen. But when we started in, I work with a lot of companies that say, we're trying to figure out where to go. We're trying to figure out what to do with AI. We're just dipping our toe in it. So what's the way to do it? Let's start with a simple model. Let's test it out. Let's just prove our concept here and see what happens. Hey, it works. It looks great. Let's push this out and deploy it. And then you get here, uh-oh. All right. So obviously you've built a popular application. People are liking it. Now everyone's wanting to use it. That definitely puts new demands on your infrastructure. Can that model support, can you support the additional needs with it, multiple users taking it? How do you keep it current, right? Once you've trained, if you're training a model, obviously it only knows what was in the training data. So as time goes on and your data, you get new data in, you have to do things like, how do we ingest new data? How do we retrain our model? How do we stay make sure that it remains accurate, still giving the correct results? How are we scaling it up? So we obviously see significant amount of challenges with that once you go into production and as things grow. So again, it's important to be able to know that as you go from the model on the left into production, that you can easily grow and burst and don't run into roadblocks due to your inappropriate infrastructure. So where Pure Storage comes in with this and delivers this is to be able to bring the solution, as it says, to adapt with you. So we want to make sure that you can drive efficiency as you move through the steps of the data pipeline. We'd mentioned some of your workloads will have random access. Some might be sequential. You might have small files, large files, and they might access it different ways. So it's important that we don't want to have to tune every step of or the infrastructure for every step of your data pipeline. You want to have an infrastructure solution, a storage solution underneath that can handle any of those workloads without having to be tuned and without having to be moved, and be able to do that with predictable performance. And even more importantly, predictable cost. When we talk about cloud model, we can either deliver some of our solutions in the cloud, and we also use cloud adjacency. That's the genomics example I mentioned to you recently, is putting, at the beginning of the presentation, is putting our infrastructure in a cloud adjacent data center, allowing you to start and use the compute tier in the cloud to start your testing and your development, but your storage remains yours, essentially, right? It's your storage inside of your data center, so that as you grow, you don't need to move your data, you don't need to grow it, and also the predictability comes with not having to pay for those egress charges, right? No surprises where if somebody starts and runs a new query and your CFO gets a bigger bill, much larger than they were expecting because something was run they weren't expecting. So overall, you want that predictable, not just performance, but also cost. So Pure Storage is investing in the greater ecosystem at large. Back in June, we announced that we invested in a pre-IPO company called Landing AI that's delivering large vision models. This is interesting. It literally has implications or the ability to impact multiple industries. I'm working with multiple customers right now that are using this type of technology. For example, I'm working with a manufacturing company that is using AI image recognition at the end of their assembly line for computer components. So as the device comes to the end of the assembly line, they have a robot-mounted camera taking 15 to 20 pictures of each component, and identifying any potential manufacturing defects there, missing connectors, crooked CPU or whatever on there, and driving up their quality assurance on that. Also working with a life sciences company for medical imaging, using AI image recognition to detect potential illnesses in people through looking at the various medical scans and being able to more quickly and more accurately identify things that should be of concern, right? Be able to detect illnesses sooner than we might be able to do with the human eye. And third, even another industry that I wouldn't have thought of with this is food service. Domino's implemented this, I believe it was back in 2019. Their challenge was with the number of stores that they have worldwide, was being able to quality control each store was nearly impossible. So they were literally just getting spot checks here and there on their product. So they implemented, among other pieces, image recognition. They put cameras over their stations where the pizzas come out of the oven, and they're able to use that to determine, to make sure they have the right number of toppings, that each pizza looks right, and they're getting a consistent product across the board. For them, that resulted in a 15% boost in their quality ratings of their pizzas. Pure Storage is also investing in the Ultra Ethernet Consortium. We're seeing a shift on the high performance compute environments towards using Ethernet instead of InfiniBand for that for the storage tier. They're still used for InfiniBand in the compute tier for the east-west traffic between your CPUs and GPUs, but the need to have that separate network down to your storage is now, I'd say, fading away. We're seeing greater adoption of Ethernet because it is standard, right? Everybody's got Ethernet in their data centers, and excuse me. Innovations such as GPU direct storage are reducing the complexity of the software stack for that I/O and getting better performance now out of Ethernet compared to, the GPU direct eliminates some of the stack, so it makes the Ethernet more efficient, more performant. We're also doing things I had mentioned metadata operations. Extremely important in all of your workloads when you're dealing with file sets that can be in the petabyte size, many tiny files. We could be talking about millions, billions of files. And think about when you're doing something like training a model and you want to shuffle your data set before you run it through again to not introduce bias into your model training. That can take a lot of time to go and do that. I have a demo that I run in my lab. I've got a file set, about 75 gigabytes, about 7 million files, nothing too crazy. And just doing a list of all those files in there can take upwards of 15 minutes just to say what's in this directory here. So one of the things Pure did is realize that, hey, the Unix/Linux tools were developed in 1969, I believe, when Unix came out, and probably haven't changed much. So we rewrote a lot of the standard Linux utilities, you see them listed on the right there, to be able to be parallelized across and take advantage of the parallel nature of our scale-out file system platform. And what we see is a massive result in, or a massive increase in speed of being able to complete these tasks with this. So, for example, if I wanted to just list my files there, say ls, the amount of time just in my demo in my lab, it usually, I think I said, takes about 15 minutes for me to list those 6.9 million files that I have in my sample data set, and reduces that down to about 30 seconds. So for one step, I'm accelerating my process 30x and saving nearly 15 minutes just in one step of that. So obviously when you think of how much that could snowball, right? How many times do you look at your data and list your data as part of your process? So this is an open source toolkit. You can download this and run it, try it on your own. I don't recommend it. It literally has, like I said, it's designed to take advantage of the compute resources in our scale-out platform, and we had it literally break our competitors' solutions. So one real-world way that I helped a customer save some time for them, I was working with an oil and gas company based out in Texas, and what they were doing is bringing data in to their Lafayette, Louisiana office and transferring it over to Houston, Texas for that. And just that data movement piece was taking roughly 2.5 hours to do that. So they, again, couldn't work on this data set at all until the data was moved over there. And the other piece they had was when they got done working on things, they had to delete the data. And that operation was so intensive on their current storage platform that it shut down all of their I/O on that platform, and they weren't able to do anything during that time. So we came in and said, introduced that data set to them, showed them what we were doing, and took that copy time from 2.5 hours across the wire, as you see, to roughly 3 minutes. And then we have tools to allow us to do the delete literally instantly. So what was taking them 2.5 hours, I showed them with a Windows client, dragged and dropped it into a special directory, and it was gone. So just in 2 steps of their process, we saved them 5 hours of that, just in those 2 pieces. There we go. Within modern analytics, AI, almost all of the tools and software that we were using for these workloads is developed, released, distributed in containers. Right? And we all know it's great technology. Obviously, it allows you to burst as you need to, turn them down. That's really the whole point of it. They don't come with persistent storage by design, right? And the whole point is for them to be ephemeral, easy to start up, move, take down, move. But that also adds a little bit of a layer of complexity. And that's one place where Pure Storage helps immensely is with our Portworx data server, or Portworx container management platform allows you to bring enterprise class features and support that are lacking in the containerized environment otherwise. So things like being able to easily back up the entire environment. We know how to back up volumes on your storage arrays. You know how to back up your legacy applications. But with the containers, we can obviously back up the data by making backups of your storage device, but you're still missing a lot of the other pieces of the I hate to say puzzle, but pieces of the environment by not backing up the whole container environment. We bring that functionality to that. Also the ability to build an environment, cloud, do it on-prem, be able to encapsulate that entire environment, which might involve a message bus, a couple of different types of databases, multiple pieces to become your data pipeline, right, to form your application, and be able to literally take that entire application environment, snap it and clone it elsewhere, whether that means going from the next stage in your software development process, or could be even from on-prem to a cloud to another cloud. So as you see from the pictures across the bottom, we're cloud agnostic. We run on-prem, we run in all the clouds, and it supports all the different distributions services there. So regardless of whether you're running on Pure Storage hardware, this Portworx platform, we also have a product called Portworx Data Services, which can deploy things like databases and things with a couple of clicks. That's why I keep going to Portworx Data Services. But our Portworx platform allows you to manage all that very easily and makes not just life simpler, but obviously makes it more secure and makes you more productive. Okay. So I kind of elaborated or referenced this before. We have, when you're building the different types of applications in your data pipeline, we tend to have those siloed applications, could be direct attached storage there, and it builds a lot of complexity. We had one customer that just one of those applications had 400 servers as part of that piece. So being able to eliminate those 400 servers, disaggregate the storage from the compute platform. So if you need additional storage, you don't have to add a new 2U server and all the things that go with it, the power, the network, and management of it. Okay, so by being able to put everything on a single storage platform, help you simplify and move forward. We also have the ability to put your data on the appropriate tier of data. So you might want your high performance data set on, the one you're currently training on high performance storage. We have the ability now to tier it. We have technology we're calling zero data movement tiering to be able to move your data down to a more cost-efficient tier so that you're not using up your expensive storage tier, performance tier for archive data. We have the ability to help you start small and grow. We actually have a cloud operating model for storage for AI. So if you, you're dipping your toe in the water, you want to start small, you can come to us and say, hey, I have 8 GPUs, I'm running a training workload. How much I/O throughput do I need? We'll size that for you and then give you a cloud operating model with an SLA providing the appropriate amount of I/O throughput for you. So it allows you to start small without a huge capital investment. We have certifications with NVIDIA. We have SuperPod certification coming. We've actually had BasePod certification since roughly 2018, where we incorporate our storage within the DGX BasePod and also add that Portworx platform in there as well. We have new things coming. We're in the final stages of certifying for DGX SuperPod, and we have some other as well t-shirt size bundles coming. So the point is we can help you deploy proven solutions, take the risk out of deploying your implementation with any of these reference architectures. We also have a Cisco validated design, full stack software and hardware, including all the pieces you see there if you wanted an option to the NVIDIA. So just an example of some of the results we've delivered on a RAG example that we presented at NVIDIA's GTC recently. We built a retrieval augmented generation system with them. We're able to see significantly better performance, 36% faster than running the data on the local SSDs, fraction of the energy, low TCO, and all built with something that will grow with them. So with that, thank you for coming here. Thank you for joining my session. I hope it was informative to you. We've got our booth set up right out in the foyer. I think it's booth 15, right across from the coffee there. So we'd love to talk to you more about it if you'd like to take a look at the direct flash module or just understand a little more about what Pure Storage does. But for that, thank you for coming. I appreciate your being here. Hope to meet you outside.